Hello, and welcome to a very special episode of Bloodhaus, the show where we talk about art house horror movies. I'm Joshua Conkle.
And I'm Drusilla Adeline, and we are here with a very expanded episode.
Yes, this is our 25th episode. That sounded like a good round number to do something special. That's 6 months. That's half a year. That's not nothing. And it just felt like a good excuse to do something that we've been sitting on for a while. But before we get into that, how are you? What's going on? How you been?
I've been better.
Oh no.
Not to get into like therapy time, but I've been better. But the upshot of me feeling crappy means I watch more movies. So,
oh, great.
I don't know. I guess there's more to talk about.
Yeah.
So, okay. First and foremost, a very recent horror or genre film that was a big deal just came out, and we'll get to that. We both saw it. But first, let me talk about Burt Reynolds.
Great. Sure.
I watched Hooper for the first time.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god.
What did you think?
So freaking fun. I don't know why I've been going down such a fucking Burt Reynolds rabbit hole this year. Something about that man.
Well, he was very beautiful, so there's that.
He was very beautiful, and also just like, I always forget how like every other one of his movies is a comedy, and Hooper is very much a comedy. That in the third act kind of like skewers you with some pretty strong emotional pathos.
Mm-hmm.
But it's literally just like the lives of Hollywood stuntmen and why they have like goofy, wacky, fun lives, and also like they don't get paid enough for the shit where they're constantly like killing their bodies. But also look at these stunts. And it's super charming and cute and fun. It's like the non-fucked up version of The Stuntman.
Yeah.
The Richard Rush movie.
Yeah.
It was just like a goddamn delight. I really, really, really loved it. And I don't know how I hadn't seen it. I also watched Pariah for the first time. Mm-hmm. Literally today, the Dee Reese film.
I haven't seen that.
Oh my god, it eviscerated me.
Oh.
I picked it up like a year or so ago when Criterion put it out, because I was like, oh my god, I've been meaning to see this movie. What a perfect excuse to see this movie. And then I sat on the fucking Blu-ray for like a year.
Well, yeah, you have to do that. I mean, everyone does that. When you collect physical media, it's like, I have more movies than I'll ever watch probably. And I don't even have a very big collection.
I'll watch this in 30 years and then I'll be like, where was this movie?
Yeah. It's like you buy them because you don't want to lose them. You want the opportunity to watch them, and you know that things will disappear in the streaming wars and all that shit. So it's like, I got to get this before it's too late.
It's the same logic as to why I have so many tabs open on all of my devices.
Yeah.
I can't forget about this one thing that I'll read, like, at some point in time.
Right.
But Pariah is a 2011 coming-of-age story about an African-American lesbian girl who's like 17 in Brooklyn, who's a writer and a poet, and struggling to come out with a very, very homophobic and fairly religious family. And so I was like, this movie's gonna be right up my alley, but also like too much up my alley to want to watch it immediately. So I've been putting it off for a while, knowing that it was gonna make me cry, and it made me cry. But it's great. It's really, 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 really good. And tender and touching.
Ooh, I have to see that.
Yeah. But then, of course, I saw Nope. Jordan Peele's Nope. Over at the Chinese theater on Friday.
Oh, fun. I saw it in a historical Oakland theater. Called the Grand Lake Theater with an organist, and it was like the Castro Theater a bit, but in Oakland. It was really cool.
The Castro. That's so freaking cool. Yeah, I didn't even realize until after we saw the movie there that the premiere had also been at the Chinese theater.
Sure.
And that they were showing it in IMAX, and it was a whole big to do.
What did you think?
So Nope is my favorite Jordan Peele movie.
I loved it too. Yay!
I loved it. I loved it. And I love that no one has said like jack shit about the plot other than like there seems to be some kind of alien presence. And going into the movie with that expectation is brilliant, because that is not what it gives you, baby. In the best kind of way. It is so fun. It is so exciting. It is
Hmm.
so grotesque. It is so mysterious. Um, and it's so rewarding. The characters are so like it also feels like the most subtle and cohesive Jordan Peele movie. Which like no
Okay.
shade,
Okay.
but
I still love Us the most of his three movies, and I know that that's not the most popular opinion, but I think Us is so beautiful and complicated and messy, and I think that those are like assets of the movie, features of the movie, and not bugs. So I'm a big defender of Us. But go on. I feel like you were throwing shade on Us, and so I just wanted to defend it for a little
I
bit.
think Us is his weakest movie. Um, which, you know, fair. It's got its defenders and it's got a lot
Yeah.
of good ideas in there.
Hmm.
Us just didn't come together for me. Uh, However, Nope just felt like a symphony. Like every little thing was in its place, and
Yeah.
they weren't like super. There were certain like wasn't doing the like I don't know. I feel like Jordan's first two movies were very of the Edgar Wright school of like
Hmm.
foreshadowing very strongly these things and setting up
Right.
Easter eggs for the things they're going to pay off at the end, in a very kind of loud and winking way that's like fun to a certain degree. But in Nope, he really buried the threads a lot deeper. So they're so much more rewarding. For instance, when Kiki Palmer is like introduced at the beginning of the movie and she's like going off about her reel and her resume and like all the great things that she does and that you can hire her for.
Yeah.
One of those things ends up coming back really fucking big in the climax to the
Yeah.
point that I was like, wow, why is she so good at this? Oh yeah, shit. Damn, okay, yeah, awesome.
Yeah, there's at least two moments that really scared me, like deeply scared
Same.
me. And I won't reveal the twist or like the third act, but what it is so haunting and strange and beautiful and like the best take on that thing that I've seen in a really
Ever.
long time. It's just
Honestly, ever.
so it's like Fantastic Planet. It's so strange and just
Hmm.
you've just never seen anything like it, and it's just haunting and beautiful and frightening and everything all at once. And both actors are so wonderful. And whoever played that character, Angel, I've never seen him before, but he was delightful. It was just I just loved it. I thought it was great, super fun, really beautiful, great performances, a banger. I mean, I don't know what else to say
It
about
is
it.
the perfect example of like a summer blockbuster horror movie.
Yeah, and it's
Um,
original. It's not IP, and it just feels like, oh,
mhm.
thank God for this. It's like the antidote for all this
But
fucking Marvel shit.
it's also an original horror film. It's also an original film, period, in a way that still feels like an original film because we
Yeah.
like, you know, people give kudos to stuff like *Malignant* or even like *Knives Out* are like both original. And one of those I love, one of those I didn't.
Hmm.
But like, those are both original films, but they're very much steeped in tropes and styles and history of so many other films that like, yeah, *Malignant's* an original film, but it really just feels like the umpteenth Giallo film or
Yeah.
Giallo film knockoff.
Yeah.
And *Knives Out* is an original film, but it's an original twist on the umpteenth, you know, Agatha Christie Columbo episodes and stuff like that. Meanwhile, Nope genuinely feels like an original thing.
It does, but
Nope doesn't feel like anything else.
I would disagree. I mean, it is original and it does feel like its own thing, but it does feel like one of Steven Spielberg's great early 80s movies. Like it's a horror film that everyone can enjoy. It's like a mainstream blockbuster horror film that's actually good. You know what I mean? Which is rare, but it's like Jurassic Park in 1992 or whatever, or Close Encounters or Jaws, or like one of these horror movies that basically anyone can go and see and enjoy it, which is really rare. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not somebody who loves a blockbuster generally. So the ones that I enjoy are few and far between. And I really think Jordan Peele is like on his way to becoming like Spielberg level of household director name. I don't know. I mean, this is his third movie that's opened at number one, and he's 3 for 3 as far as I'm concerned. And last week some big Twitter account like tweeted, when are we gonna acknowledge Jordan Peele as one of the horror greats? And all of these people dunked on him, and I'm not sure why, because the man has made 3 number one movies that I think are all 3 great. I mean, I think he's 3 for 3. So I don't know.
I've seen a lot of people make those Spielberg comparisons, and this is gonna sound weird, but I don't really see that in Nope, because like, yeah, Nope has a lot to say about spectacle and the idea of movie making, which I guess could go hand in hand with certain like 80s fare from Spielberg.
Yeah.
But I don't think Spielberg has ever reached the heights of beauty that Nope reaches, and I don't think he's ever reached the heights of terror or the grotesque that's in Nope.
Yeah,
or the suspense. Like, honestly, okay, I'm not a big Spielberg fan.
I'm not either, truthfully. But
I fucking hate a lot of his movies. I like Indiana Jones in 1941, and that's kind of it.
Okay.
But I don't like Jurassic Park. I don't like Jaws.
I love Jaws. I love Jurassic Park. But I think I just compared him to Spielberg in the sense that he's such a crowd pleaser. He's totally uniquely himself. He has a sense of fun, but it's still scary. I mean, Jurassic Park is a scary movie when you see it in the theater. The first movie is a horror film. The follow-ups aren't, but the first one is. And same with Jaws. These are horror films. And so, but they're just big crowd pleasers without being dumb, without pandering. They're very smart. And that's all I meant by, I mean, I think Jordan Peele for me is a better director than Steven Spielberg is. I like his work more than I like Steven Spielberg's work in general. But I'm just like, there's no one else who is as big as Jordan Peele and such a crowd-pleasing director while being smart and not pandering. And so that was the only way that I meant to compare him to Spielberg, I guess. And the sense of there's a sense of magic in Jordan Peele's work too, I guess. Yeah.
There's also a tenderness in his movies, especially in Nope, that like other movies wouldn't have, especially when you get to the third act and stuff like that. I feel like any other movie would take the approach of like, we need to go get guns and bombs. Yeah. This is the time to go, which like even the latest season of Stranger Things had that moment of like, well, time to go to the gun store and get all the guns and the bombs we can. Yeah. But this movie takes the polar opposite approach, and all the better for it.
I just loved it.
One last thing, I went with a group of friends, and we walked out, and we all loved it. We all were hooting and hollering. And on the drive back, we all kind of mutually agreed that there is one big set piece in the movie that is potentially the most horrifying aspect of the movie, that we all, as a group, agreed was too much. We were all like, that was too much. We didn't need to see that much of that. Got it. We were way too scarred and fucked up by that.
Okay.
We did not need that much of it. So if you're hearing us talking about this movie and being like, no, it's gonna sound like one of those wimpy mamby-pamby snowflake left. No, it's fucking horrifying.
It goes pretty hard.
It goes pretty hard. There's at least two specific things that will stick in my brain for a long time. Yes. But one of them that is a little more protracted than I would care for.
Yeah.
And a few people agreed is kind of dead center in the middle of the movie, and it is
yeah, upsetting.
Tough.
Yeah.
Very upsetting.
Well,
what about you, Josh? Have you seen anything other than Nope?
No, not really. Is the honest truth. I haven't. My boyfriend is moving in, and I've been traveling a lot and just working really hard, and so I really haven't. So, without further ado, no time to spare. We're doing 2 movies. Let's get into it. We are doing.
Pop your popcorn. Sit down.
Get your popcorn ready. Open a tab.
It's time for the double bill.
Here we are with a double feature of 2 art house stalwarts, and they are Suspiria 1977 and Suspiria 2018. Now, I think we should do them in order and do 77 first and then get to 2018. But I want to hear your rankings first. And the rank is the scale is love, like, dislike, hate. So,
okay.
77.
77 Suspiria. That's a full hard out love.
Same.
I honestly don't think that there's a horror movie better than Suspiria.
I love it. Same. I'm at 5 stars. Okay. Love it. Love it. So 2018.
2018. I'll give you 3 separate rankings for 2018 because that's how that movie has been for me.
Okay.
When I was in the theater watching it, it was I like this.
Okay.
I'm still processing it, but I was in the middle of it. I saw it at the Cinerama Dome at Beyond Fest in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a very firm like. And then on my walk home, like, watched the movie, got out of the movie, walked from the Cinerama Dome to Koreatown. Right?
Mm-hmm.
On the walk home, I started to fall into, I don't know if I like this movie.
Okay.
And then in the intervening years, it went to hate.
Oh boy. Okay.
And then after rewatching it for the podcast, it went back to somewhere between like and dislike.
Okay. Fair.
I'm very all over the map with this fucking movie.
I had a great experience this week because I rewatched them both this week, of course, with my boyfriend who'd never seen either of them. So I got to get his reaction too. And he likes horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
It was the opposite of what I thought it was going to be, because I figured he would like 2018 more, and he did not. He really loved 77, and he had the same criticisms of 2018 that I did, which we'll get into, I guess. But
I was going to say, I don't think you'd be going ahead with moving in with him if he didn't like the 77.
Yeah, I mean,
just saying.
I mean, what can you say? We're going to say it now. It's great. So, Suspiria 1977, directed by Dario Argento, starring Jessica Harper, cameo by Udo Kier. It is Suspiria.
Roses are red, violets are blue, but the iris is the flower that will mean the end of it.
You can run from Suspiria. You can hide from Suspiria. But you cannot escape Suspiria. You're missing more.
So, what's your history with this movie? I know that it's among your favorites, if not your very favorite.
Yeah,
hit me.
It's a big one. It's a big one. I have a weird history with it. So, when I was first not even really into horror yet, I was still in high school, and I was just like tiptoeing through like the most pretentious of art house horror stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it was like watching like Georges Franju, and I was watching David Cronenberg, and I was watching a lot of Japanese horror from like the 60s and 70s, like Onibaba. And I was on a lot of forums at the time because I had no friends and didn't get oxygen. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, if you should see Suspiria. If you like Eraserhead and if you like Videodrome, you should see Suspiria." And so I was like, "Okay, cool. And I think it was like on YouTube or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched the first 20 minutes or so before I got too scared and turned it off.
Aww.
Which, the first 20 minutes or so, nothing really happens.
Except for them being beautiful and so, just haunting and chic.
It's just chic, haunting, beautiful, bright lights, a lot of rain, and
rain.
very loud goblin music.
Yeah.
A lot of whoosh and stuff like that. So I didn't get farther than that because I was like alone at night in a bedroom that was not unlike the bedroom from the beginning of the movie where the girl gets her head smashed through the glass.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, not in the mood for this. And so I didn't finish it. And then, a year or so later, I found a VHS copy of Suspiria, which anyone will tell you is the worst possible way to watch Suspiria.
That transfer was awful back in the day.
Awful. And so that sat on my shelf for a while, until I contracted mono, and was bedridden with mono for like a month or whatever, and was going in and out of fever. And I decided to watch my VHS tape of Suspiria while on mono, laid up with mono and coming in and out of consciousness. So I believe I watched it all the way through, but boy, I don't fucking know, man. It was a very interesting experience. So then fast forward to I was in college in Chicago, fell in love with horror in earnest through the Portage Theater's 24-hour horror massacre, where they screened Tenebrae at like 3 or 4 a.m. And I
Right.
remember walking out of that and being like, texting friends, being like, this movie Tenebrae is amazing. I need to find more stuff like this. What? And then my friend was like, yeah, that's Argento. He made Suspiria and Deep Red. Go watch those. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, that's the Suspiria movie I watched while I was sick. Okay. And so I finally saw it around the time I was in college in full. And it, like, you know, to a degree, like, in my right mind.
Right.
And it blew me the fuck away. And since then, I've seen it countless times. I've seen it projected on 35 millimeter at the New Beverly, at the Cine Family. I've seen when the new 4K restoration came out and premiered at the Egyptian Theater at Beyond Fest. I was, like, the first in line for that, and we watched it from the balcony, and we still felt like deaf and blind by the end of it. And when I bought a 4K TV, it was the first movie I bought on 4K UHD. I've watched it on first dates. I've watched it with like live-in partners. Suspiria is very important to me. What about you, Josh? How did it get injected into your veins?
I first saw it in my early 20s. It wasn't one that came up for me as a teen or child or teen discovering horror movies. I think because it's from the 70s, and I don't think this is just me. Like 70s movies didn't come into play until the early 2000s in my early 20s for me. I feel like we weren't looking back on the 70s in the 70s horror in the 90s. For whatever reason, because we were looking back at other things from the 70s, like ABBA and Bell Bottoms and Dazed and Confused. And like, so the 70s were kind of top of mind in the 90s, but 70s horror for some reason wasn't, for me at least. So I saw it in my early 20s, really loved it. And then when I was a playwright, which is how I started writing, professionally, I wrote an off-Broadway musical called The House of Von Macrame, which was a fashion horror synth musical. And this was one of the references. So it was a musical that had over 200 costume changes because it had built-in fashion shows and the audience was around a runway. But it was a horror musical about a fashion designer who was killing models and then bathing in their blood to stay young. So obviously Suspiria was one of my references because we did a lot of primary colored lighting. So that's when I really fell in love with it. And I've watched it many times since then. I just went to a double feature at New Beverly of Phantom of the Paradise and Suspiria, which is sort of an informal Jessica Harper double feature. And so, yeah, it's way up there for me too. I absolutely love it. It was such a joy to share it with my boyfriend who loved it too. And yeah, I just love it. I guess we can get into a quick synopsis. This movie stars Jessica Harper, who plays Susie Bannion. Susie Bannion is an American ballet dancer who's going to study ballet at the Tanz Academy in rural Germany. And when she gets there, it's a stormy night, and a girl named Pat is running from the school screaming words that Susie can't hear. And then we follow Pat, who goes to her sister's house and says that the teachers at the school are witches. She's killed at her sister's house. We go back to Susie at school, and Susie is now on this trajectory to discovering that the teachers at this ballet academy are in fact witches. Anything else about like a brief synopsis that you think I missed?
I mean, there's not really much plot. So
no, I mean,
yeah, we kind of got it.
There is like, it feels like a Rosemary's Baby kind of thing where there's like a plot against her, but it's actually not. Like there's not like a mystery that you can really solve in that way. Which is not a knock.
It's a lot more. Yeah, it's a lot more experiential than it is narrative, which is something that I love so much about it. So I think the thing that really connects for me with Suspiria, especially, okay, we'll get into the context of it in Argento's filmography in a second, because that's also very important. But the movie operates on almost exclusively dream logic.
Mhm.
which is something that had been explored to pretty interesting depths in other Italian horror films. He'd gotten pretty close in Deep Red, but still had a narrative mystery to follow through. And his kind of predecessors like Umberto Lenzi and Mario Bava had gotten kind of close with previous films, specifically Mario Bava's Lisa and the Devil. But Suspiria is full buck wild. He is using, like, as he has himself said, a Disney palette of primary colors, as bright and loud as he can get them to really fill the screen. I mean, it's shot in freaking Technicolor. It looks like it. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. Lots of primary colors, lots of red light, scenes that are lit entirely in red or blue. And you mentioned Technicolor. This was actually one of the last feature films that was developed in Technicolor. So it's pretty important historically.
It's breathtakingly beautiful. And Jessica Harper, who is, you know, such a cult treasure from Phantom of the Paradise, but also our beloved Shock Treatment.
Beautiful singer.
And Todd Haynes is Safe.
Yeah, exactly.
She's in Safe for like 2 minutes.
Yeah. And she does have a cameo in Suspiria 2018, which we'll get to.
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
She really holds this entire movie on her back.
She's incredible.
Beautifully.
Do you know that she turned down...
a very simple, subtle performance.
Yeah, totally.
What did she turn down?
She turned down a role in Woody Allen's Annie Hall to be in this. Good
That's
for
amazing.
You, Jessica Harper. Good choice. Good ass choice.
I mean, she would eventually return to Woody Allen, like, the next year to be his romantic interest in... oh god, his Fellini knockoff movie.
I've never seen like any Woody Allen movies. Not to brag, I just never.
Stardust Memories. That's the one. I've unfortunately seen most all Woody Allen movies. We all go through phases. They're not very good. Stardust Memories is in fact one of his worst. It's very weak. But Jessica Harper's great in it. She's underutilized.
She's always great.
But she's always great. She does such a good job in Suspiria, but she's also balanced against like really, really, really big 1940 stars. You've got Alida Valli, the Italian icon who was made famous in Carol Reed's The Third Man, and then fucking film noir goddess Joan Bennett from Woman in the Window and a bunch of Fritz Lang movies as the two heads of the Academy.
Some people, some of our listeners may know Joan Bennett as Elizabeth Collins from the 60s soap opera Dark Shadows, which is how I know her, because that's the kind of dum-dum that I am.
And I'm the kind of dum-dum that's like, Secret Beyond the Door, what a blast!
Yeah. So Susie makes friends with a girl named Sarah, and there's a great moment when she first arrives. Everyone's being kind of rude to her, and this bitchy German girl, Olga. First of all, everything is dubbed in this because it's Italian, so all of the dubbing is extremely weird in the way that Italian movies are. And this girl named Olga says to them, Susie, Sarah, I've heard that names that begin with S are the names of snakes. And then they stick out their tongues to each other. Which brings me to a question. Somebody once told me, and I don't know if this is true, and I was too lazy to look it up, apparently, that the script was originally written for much younger girls, and that's why some of the dialogue is like that. Like, that's something that 11-year-old girls might say to each other, but 21-year-old women that are, like, in this movie would not say to each other.
Yeah.
That's true.
So, for context... we can get into a bit of Argento's career off this note, but it's really, 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 really important to note when talking about Suspiria that yes, Argento is the director who beautifully lit and designed and put together this film, but we should not overlook the sole reason this movie exists. It's amazing screenwriter Daria Nicolodi. Who was married to Argento at the time and had been the female lead in his previous film, Deep Red.
I didn't put that together. I love Deep Red.
Yes. She would later have pretty significant roles in the rest of his movies up until the early 90s. They divorced in the early 80s, too. It's a very weird relationship.
Yeah, very Italian.
Yeah. But she is amazing. I mean, she really looks like a female version of Dario Argento, which is kind of spooky. These two people met randomly, fell in love, and made a bunch of movies together. And then divorced. And then made Ossie Argento together.
Yeah.
But
beautiful, problematic Asia Argento.
We stan.
Yeah.
But Daria conceptualized Suspiria on her own, and like slightly based on weird experiences from her youth. And it was initially intended as a starring vehicle for her. So it does have a little bit of that. Oh yeah, it was supposed to be a 12-year-old. Oh yeah, it was also supposed to be a star role for Daria Nicolodi. But it was a mixture of, I think she'd gotten pregnant. And Fox, the U.S. distributor, was like, you need a more bankable name. Here's this girl who was in one Fox movie a few years ago. Jessica Harper. I mean, to them, I guess. Not that Phantom of the Paradise did well.
It didn't at all.
No. But I don't know. Well, we can get into this in a minute, but I don't know how well Suspiria did.
I don't know either. Internationally, I have no idea.
The U.S. marketing campaign is...
It's really wild.
It's really buck wild. But to talk about where this movie fits in Argento's canon is really, really interesting, because this is obviously the movie that everyone knows.
This is where most people enter Argento from.
Yes. And because of that, and because of his previous films, it gets kind of mixed up with Italian genre cinema in an interesting way. So Argento started as a film critic, and then became a screenwriter, famously being one of like teen writers on Sergio Leone's Once Upon a Time in the West, which is kind of a great script. And then he started directing his own movies with The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, which like reinvented the Italian giallo kind of murder mystery subgenre by making it even sleazier, even weirder, and even more nonsensical. Because Mario Bava kicked it off a decade previously, and it kind of died out. And then Bird with the Crystal Plumage reignited it in a huge way. And between 1970 and 1974, the genre just exploded all over again, exclusively because of Crystal Plumage. And so the kind of tropes that you think of now when you think of giallo cinema, of a killer wearing black leather gloves, a straight razor being slashing a woman's throat, lots of boobs, a long nonsensical title that includes an animal or something. That all comes from Bird with the Crystal Plumage. That was just like all of these movies aping that. And so he did 3 films in that vein, Cat o' Nine Tails and Four Flies in Grey Velvet. And then he was sick of it, because the whole market was oversaturated with knocking off his own movie, and he was kind of knocking off his own movie after a while. So he went off and did a period comedy historical film, which, spoiler alert, didn't do very well. And so his producers, which were his father and brother, were like, you need to make another giallo movie. You just, no, you can't keep doing weird shit. And so he made Deep Red to kind of be the be-all, end-all of giallo movies, that so people would stop making that.
And to me, I will say, Deep Red is like the giallo movie. Like, to me, it's like the perfect giallo movie.
It's a great one to get into the genre with, especially. It really like hits all your tropes in a really beautiful and like easy to access way, before it starts getting super ratchet. And so from his perspective, he had tried to leave the giallo boom once, and then really tried to put the nail in the coffin by making the best one ever with Deep Red, and he kind of did. So his only place to go after that was to start getting into different aspects of horror, leaving the murder mystery aspects behind, and to start picking up on some of the supernatural things that he'd kind of woven into Deep Red as like textural background stuff of like a psychic is murdered, and that's just kind of like the impetus for the movie. Now what if serial killers and all that stuff and whatever psychological trauma that's always at the forefront of those movies, fuck that shit. What if we just do supernatural stuff and witches, and what if we get Goblin to a big loud score? What if we just strip horror back to absolutely the bare essentials? You don't need to know what's happening. You don't need to even know who's being murdered or who they're being murdered by. All you need to know is that people are in danger. This world feels both more realistic and less realistic than our own. The music is loud and suspenseful, and the imagery is going to get wild and wild and wild. And it fucking works, man. He stripped horror back to the least you could possibly do, and it's the scariest movie ever.
This is like one of my favorite subgenres because secret witches are my shit. That is like my favorite thing. If there is secretly a cabal of witches or Satanists or both sometimes, I'm all over that, man. I just love it. And this is one of the finest examples. So many great things in this movie. There's a great scene where Susie is combing her hair and maggots start to fall from the ceiling and into her hair. And then all the girls run out of their rooms screaming because the whole ceiling is raining maggots. I had to watch this on Tubi because I don't have a Blu-ray, which brings us back to the original conversation. I need to get a Blu-ray of this before it disappears because it's not streaming anywhere except for Tubi. And so after the maggot scene on Tubi, cut to an Olive Garden commercial where I am looking at close-ups of macaroni and cheese and creamy Alfredo. And it was like so perfect and so nauseating. But like when I watched Lords of Salem on Tubi, every so often, like at the most horrific moment, we would cut to like the worst possible commercial break that you can imagine. For Lords of Salem, it was Febreze. For Suspiria, it's Olive Garden. When you're here, your family. So I'm watching it rain maggots, and then I'm looking at close-ups of mac and cheese. It's like blech. And I actually don't think it was a new transfer. I feel like it was an old transfer because it didn't look that vibrant to me.
So that's one of the other things about Suspiria is that there's multiple cuts of the film. And depending on the certain cut and all that, some are in the public domain, I believe. Okay. I believe the like US cut is technically in the public domain, and so it's more often streaming and things like that. And it's missing a lot.
Okay.
Like, it's missing a lot of the movie. And it's very upsetting. When I saw the film projected on 35 for the first time at the Cine Family, so that should tell you when this was. I remember being in the audience for it, and there is a blind pianist in the film who has a kind of seeing eye dog. And in the full Italian cut of the film, he has a bit of a mini story arc involving the people who run the academy and this ominous little boy around the academy. And it ultimately ends with him being mauled to death by his own dog and a scene that is implied to be caused by witches. And in the US cut of the movie, he is like just barely seen occasionally as the guy playing piano. Yeah. And then all of a sudden he's killed. And you're like,
this transfer at least had all that. What? I saw it in 35mm at New Bev, and it was only like 6 months ago. So it was pretty fresh in my head. And this had all of that, thank goodness. But the colors weren't there. So I knew that it wasn't one of the newer restorations, but at least it wasn't edited.
Well, allow me to put a plug. If you're ever going to buy a copy of Suspiria, or watch a copy of Suspiria, get either the Blu-ray or the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray from Synapse Films. That is the version restored by the cinematographer.
It's as good as done.
And looks the best.
As soon as I realized it wasn't streaming anywhere, I was like,
Yep.
oh my God, how did I let this happen? How do we live in a world where I don't have a Blu-ray of Suspiria?
It's one of those movies that if I had the ability and I didn't feel bad about wasting electricity, I would have a TV in my home playing it on a loop, just visually, so that I could have that like at all times. That and like Pink Narcissus and Open the Body and like
this is one of those movies. Yeah, this is one of those movies like Pink Narcissus or Hausu or V, where it would be great to just have this playing in the background at a party. It looks beautiful.
It looks beautiful, and there's also like you can't really spoil Suspiria.
It doesn't make any sense. How are you going to spoil something?
It doesn't make
any sense. It has the feeling of a mystery without being a mystery. There's no clues that you can really
aspire to. Well, yeah, exactly. The genius thing about his previous movies, like Bird of the Crystal Plumage and Deep Red, are they set you up with a mystery and they show you the thing that could solve the mystery in that opening scene, but it's like you don't know why you should be looking for that.
Yeah.
And so the whole movie, you're being asked to remember something that like you don't know why it would be important, and then it drops on you and you go, oh my God, it was a mirror or whatever.
Yeah.
But in Suspiria, they kind of do that to you with what the girl is yelling in the rain at the beginning.
Yeah.
But you don't hear it.
Couldn't hear it.
There's no way of knowing what she says. And so you spend the whole movie being like, I don't fucking know. And you're like, oh, it's a flower?
Yeah, I don't know.
Sure.
Very quickly, Susie is cursed or whatever you want to say while she's at her very first ballet rehearsal for
she sees
reason.
Someone polishing a mirror and hears a sound effect. So yeah, she's cursed.
I love how the music arguably the music goes witches and like every 30 seconds, like not a mystery really. So she gets really faint and passes out at this ballet rehearsal, and then she has to go on a restricted diet, which is so great, so 70s and European. It's bland food, no fruit, and a glass of wine for 2 weeks. So they're obviously
to get her blood back up.
Get her blood thickened up or something. And so she's drinking this obviously drugged wine every night because she passes out, and her friend Sarah keeps coming in to try to tell her things about like, oh, they're not leaving the school when they leave. If you count their footsteps, they're going deeper into the school. Pat, who disappeared, was right. They're witches. And so Sarah's trying to feed her these clues, but she's not picking up on them because she's been drugged. And eventually Sarah bites the bullet in a really cool prolonged set piece, sort of classic Giallo style. Someone with black gloves is coming after her, and she falls into I don't know what that is. It sort of has
a pit of razor wire.
It's very upsetting.
Mm-hmm. It's very upsetting.
I didn't know if it was like, is that just insulation? What is this?
No, it's
sharp.
It's fucking razor wire, and it is horrifying to look at. And there's a scene not unlike it in Nope.
Yes.
And
true.
I just like my skin was crawling through both of them. And all I could think of in that scene of Nope was Suspiria.
Yeah.
So it's appropriate.
Susie sort of befriends a professor of psychology at the university, played by Udo Kier, looking as handsome as he always does.
Played by Udo Kier, but dubbed by someone the hell else.
I know. I was like, why can't it just be Udo Kier? He speaks English. But I know that the Italians don't do that. It's not their way. Yeah. What else
It's a shame because this movie was 1977.
Yeah.
So it was like 3 years after Udo Kier had starred in Mark of the Devil, Flesh for Frankenstein, and Blood for Dracula.
Yeah.
And he's reduced to a one-scene exposition dump cameo 3/4 of the way into the movie, dubbed by someone the hell else, and then midway through his scene, he goes, oh, hey, some other guy's coming. He'll just tell you the rest of the exposition.
He'll tell you.
Bye!
I love that he's drinking a glass of, like, Diet Coke or something just outside in the quad or whatever you want to call it. And there's a great, it is an exposition dump, and there's a great line that's so cheesy. It's like something from my cheesy off-Broadway musical where Susie is like, and might there be a guild of witches. And he, in his terrible dubbed voice, is like, the word you're looking for is coven. It's like, it's such terrible writing, but I love it so much because it's just like hitting those beats that I like as someone who loves these movies.
It's so good. It's so lovely.
Yeah. And I guess eventually Susie gets to the heart of the mystery, which is that, surprise, surprise, they're all witches.
They're all witches. Well, I guess the real heart is what we get into the sequels to this movie.
Oh, yes.
This movie got sequels. This movie got 2 sequels.
Mm-hmm.
Which is that... the Dance Academy was founded by the Mother Suspiriorum, the Mother of Sighs, who is one of 3 major witches who are immortal beings who have plagued our planet for centuries, and who all own specific buildings somewhere in the world, and kind of subsist on people's life forces, more or less, and kill them.
Yeah. Not that any of that is in this movie. That's all context from other movies in the sort of cinematic universe of Dario Argento.
Yeah, the Suspiria cinematic universe. Which, you know, pretty banging flicks. But yeah, Suspiria ended up being followed by Inferno 3 years later, in 1980.
That's right.
I believe. Which is basically... The plot of Inferno is basically, remember Suspiria? We're gonna do it again, but this time it's New York City, baby. Yeah. And by New York City, we mean a soundstage in Rome. And it's also technically not even directed by Argento.
Oh, it's not?
He is credited. He co-wrote it, and he did all the prep work, and he did all the casting. But when it came time to do the majority of the on-set photography, he was incredibly, incredibly sick. And so he just left all of the directing for the majority of the shoot to his special effects designer, Mario Bava.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, he brought Mario Bava on early because he was like, oh my god, I have all this clout from doing Suspiria. Yeah. Let's bring in my idol and god, and then we can collab together on the sequel. This movie's gonna be great. And then he was laid up and sick for almost the majority of the filmmaking. And so Mario Bava was like, fuck it, I'm a director.
Well,
here we go.
Listen, if you're not gonna get
miss our shot,
Dario Argento, Mario Bava is a pretty good ringer.
I mean, if you have to get a substitute. I think Inferno is great. I think Inferno is very underrated.
Yeah, I agree. I like Inferno.
It kind of lives in the shadow of Suspiria, but I think it is great. The score is by Keith Emerson instead of Goblin, and it is fucking amazing. And then 25 years later, in Argento's flop era, we got The Mother of Tears, which I never saw because it looks bad.
I never saw it either, but Daniel Handler, a.k.a. Lemony Snicket, sent me a clip from it.
My childhood idol?
Unprompted, sent me a clip of it, which is a bunch of witches walking through an airport. And of course, it has the crazy dubbing. And there's someone that's taking the music out, so it seems super strange. And they're all cackling, and they're all young sort of punk rockers. And one of them, who has crazy makeup, goes to the one and says, "Are you ready for the celebration?" That's it. And it's just a demented clip that Lemony Snicket sent me. And so now my 2 best friends and I, in our group text, it's called Witches Laughing in an Airport because of that. Some of our listeners who are zombie fans might like to know that Dario Argento cut a version of the 70s Dawn of the Dead with music by Goblin. Some people prefer that cut. I do not. But it's just an interesting piece of trivia.
I prefer that cut. Because I'm an asshole.
You are an asshole. I like the director's cut of that movie. Yeah. What else do we want to say about 77?
I mean, okay. So it's very beloved in horror circles.
Of course.
However, as we will get into a little bit into the future as we talk about 2018. Some people don't love Suspiria.
Yes.
So what do
They
you
walk
think is the
amongst
legacy?
us.
The most horrifying conceit is that some people out in this world actively dislike Suspiria.
Yes.
So what do you think is the legacy of Suspiria?
I think it is, I think it's considered one of the most important horror films of the 70s. I think it's very well known for its colors and style, and that score by Goblin is iconic. I think those two takeaways are the big ones: the lighting and the sort of color, and the Goblin score.
Mm-hmm.
Does that answer your question, or were you trying to get something else?
Yeah, no, I was just trying to think of what your kind of gauge and barometer was for how like contemporary audiences view
I think
the
it's
77 film.
This is a movie. Someone said this about the movie Sleepaway Camp, which I feel like I've been bringing up a weird amount of times on this podcast for a movie that we'll never discuss, and I have no idea how you feel about it. But their point was that Sleepaway Camp is like a litmus test for how well traveled people are through horror. So Sleepaway Camp is either Horror 101, or it is like the weirdest horror movie that you've ever seen, and you saw it at a sleepover when you were 9. I feel like Suspiria is one of those. If you're someone who's a connoisseur of these movies, then you'll know Suspiria, and you'll know that it's one of the most important of the 70s, if not of all time. Probably in America, the most important Italian horror movie. So I think the legacy is like big for this one, at least within horror. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. I think I agree with you. I think that sleepaway camp idea is pretty accurate. Yeah. I have friends who, sleepaway camp being the actual literal example, who we watched Sleepaway Camp one time and they'd never heard of it, never seen it. It was like a group of trans girls, and they were like, "Oh my god, this movie's so bizarre and strange, and like I didn't know horror movies could do this." And I was like, bitch, like this is horror 101. Where have you been? What have you been watching? This is like welcome to horror movies. But I feel the same way about Suspiria, where like it just feels like such a foundational text in my personal understanding of horror. Yeah. People have different ones, and people have different kind of texts like that. But I found that a lot of people going to use a derogatory phrase here, my generation, view the 77 film, at least those who haven't seen it and just know it by reputation, kind of have like the wrong appraisal of it as being a very campy movie. Oh, interesting. Which it is not. I think it's a fair assessment. If you're not used to the way that they dub movies, that gives it a sort of camp quality. I think that it's okay to find this camp. I find it a little campy, but I also find it beautiful and scary, and I think it's okay. I find it campy in the like kind of like a baseline, everything I kind of like and am into. Yeah. To a great degree has a certain through line of that. Right. But I've been to too many screenings in Los Angeles of Suspiria where young hipster audiences are like cackling at everything. Right. And I'm like, guys, shut the fuck up. Yeah. This is one of the scariest movies ever. What is there to laugh at? Yeah. Honestly, like, yeah, okay. It's dubbed. Welcome to Italian movies. Yeah. Cool. But most people don't know the dialogue's not good. Most people are well seen enough to like know that Italian movies are always dubbed. My boyfriend doesn't know that, and he has a PhD in Latin. I had to be like, oh, Italian movies were always dubbed. You know what I mean? Like I had to explain. No, most people don't know that. But it's also like that's not funny for 90 minutes. No. That's like you get past that. And so like, I don't know, being in theaters where people were laughing like consistently through that movie really puts me off and really kind of like triggers my fight or flight. I don't care for it. Not one bit. You put some respect on its name. This movie is essential. It is the Citizen Kane of horror. We stan Suspiria 77. Let's play a very quick round of our favorite game, Have They Seen It?, where we speculate wildly whether notable figures have seen the movie. I'll go first. We'll just do one each for this. We'll do one each for both movies, okay? Mm-hmm. So here's mine for Suspiria 1977.
So, Suspiria 2018 has a cameo by Chloe Grace Moretz, who was in the remake of Carrie, and the woman who played her mother in Carrie was Julianne Moore. Do you think that Julianne Moore has seen Suspiria in 1977?
Oh my God. I love Julianne Moore. We love
Great
Julianne
actress.
Moore. I think it would be super cool if she has.
Yeah.
I don't know if she has.
Yeah.
I don't think that there would be a reason in her personal and professional career for her to have seen it.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's a big horror fan, but I do know that she is a mother to like college age kids. So I think the prospect that her son or daughter coming to her like on a semester off,
Right,
being like, hey, yo, mom, you ever seen this thing? And then putting on Suspiria is a likelihood. And I think if Julianne Moore were to see Suspiria in the context of she's had a few glasses of wine and a large pasta dinner and is now settling down in her nice New York townhouse with her children home from college, she would have a lovely time.
I think
she would have a good time.
If she's watching this in bed, I imagine her in white silk pajamas in a beautiful townhouse in Manhattan with the windows open, curtains blowing. You can hear sirens in the distance, but in a chic way. And she's just like watching Suspiria 1977 like that in bed by herself.
So, yes. That's the
vibe.
That's the vibe.
Yeah.
Julianne, if you would like to confirm, please hit us up anytime. So, my person for you is along probably the same lines.
Oh, great.
Someone that I, was up to a lot of really amazing shit in the late 70s when this movie was made, and was becoming a director in her own right at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And is someone that we pretty well frequently think of these days as laying around her house in white silk and drinking wine most of the time. And she's a huge cinephile that we know. And considering this movie is so operatic and so involved with music, and so informed by its music, I wonder what you think if Barbra Streisand has seen Suspiria 1977.
Oh, I love the question. Love the energy. Well, I think maybe. So Barbra Streisand did sing the theme song of another movie that was a reference for my off-Broadway horror fashion musical, The Eyes of Laura Mars.
Laura Mars, yep.
So, based on that, I think maybe. And she's in these New York circles.
However, the only reason that she sung the theme song to The Eyes of Laura Mars was because she was supposed to be the lead in the movie because it was being produced by her then boyfriend, John Peters. And she took one look at the script and said, no fucking way am I going to be in that thing.
Why? It's great.
I know!
It's great.
That movie's amazing.
If I could remake...
It was directed by her friend, Irvin Kershner, and written by John Carpenter.
If I could remake any horror movie and direct it, it would be Eyes of Laura Mars. No question.
Eyes of Laura Mars was intended to be a Barbra Streisand
That's
vehicle.
amazing. But I still feel like because of it, she may have seen... And she's in these New York circles with Jessica Harper, in my mind. Jessica Harper's... hobnobbing with like Woody Allen and like sort of New York intellectuals, Brian De Palma, of course. So I feel like, maybe she has seen it. I feel like she would like it.
I think she would love it. I think it'd be right up her alley. I mean, I don't know her take on horror movies in general.
Neither.
I mean, she married the dude from the Amityville Horror, so you have to assume that she's at least kind of a fan of the genre. But I feel like if there's any horror movie that Babs would be into, it would be Suspiria.
Yeah. I mean, there's always the opposite thing where your partner has like one thing that you can't fuck with. Like I can't fuck with Star Trek and my boyfriend loves it. But, it is what it is.
Teach their own.
Yeah, let's pivot. So, Suspiria 2018, directed by Luca Guadagnino, starring Dakota Johnson and Tilda Swinton.
At the beginning, she gave me things. Perfect balance, perfect sleep. She wants to get inside of me. I can feel her. Oh, she can see me.
When you dance the dance of another, you make yourself in the image of its creator.
My experience of it was the same as yours.
And Tilda Swinton.
Yeah. And Tilda Swinton 3 times. My experience of this was the same as yours. I saw it at ArcLight opening weekend. I wasn't there for Beyond Fest, I don't think. But I did see it opening weekend at ArcLight in the Dome. I was a little tipsy on wine watching it, and it's a very long movie. And I felt like that's okay. I would, if we're talking about my scale from earlier, I would lean dislike, but I in memory, I kind of liked it. But this time I liked it more, I will say, but I feel like I have the same criticisms of it. You already said how you feel, so I guess I'll just keep going. I like this movie. I think it has a lot to offer. I think it's beautifully filmed and acted. The aesthetic is very different from the 1977 film, but beautiful in its own right.
It's almost the polar opposite.
Yeah, it has almost no color. It's gray. It's they said it in historical 70s. They said it in Berlin, first of all, not rural Germany. So you're at the wall, and there's spray paint everywhere. Communists are rioting in the streets. You're right against the wall. And my feeling about this is that it's like a little bit too a lot too indulgent. The movie is 2.5 hours long. It should be 45 minutes shorter than that. I think there's no need for Tilda Swinton to play 3 roles. It just is totally indulgent. There's just so much about it that's like, just stop doing this. Like, kill your darlings, cut all of this, and you have an amazing movie. Because there are moments in this that are astoundingly beautiful and cool. The dancing is amazing. 3
scenes in this movie that put it like head and shoulders above most other movies that have come out in the past 20 years.
Absolutely.
And at least one of the single most indelible and iconic horror sequences in the past 40 years is in this movie.
Yes. There's
like a lot of fucking good shit in here.
Yeah.
So why do we have reservations? Well, little bit of backstory. Suspiria has been, it's been a cult film for a while, and the remake rights have been optioned for the past 20 years. It's hopped around studios and filmmakers. Yeah.
No, but Luca had them. He bought the rights in 2008. So the director had them then. He originally wanted David Gordon Green to do it, who's well known in horror circles now for the Halloween reboot. Thank God that didn't happen. I will say that.
Yeah.
As much as I like some of David Gordon Green's work, he's the wrong person for this.
David Gordon Green's interesting, though, because he's such a chameleon filmmaker, because he goes from something like George Washington, which feels like a Terrence Malick knockoff, to Pineapple Express, to directing most of The Righteous Gemstones, which is amazingly directed. And I haven't seen his new Halloween movies, but
I like them okay. They're okay. But I think of him as a comedic director.
You should see George Washington. It's very.
I will.
It's very emotionally impactful.
Okay.
His early movies are these great little indie gems that are heartbreaking, and so I can kind of see the idea of getting that guy to do Suspiria, and there's a little bit of that in what Luca is doing here. But by the time 2018 rolls around, Luca Guadagnino has made a bigger splash, and he's made. Famously Call Me By Your Name.
Yep.
And he has the dreaded C word, clout.
Yeah.
So, of course, he's going to do it. And he hired the screenwriter.
David Kajanich.
David Kajanich, who was the showrunner of the show The Terror.
Which I liked a lot on AMC.
Mm-hmm. And he wrote Blood Creek and A Bigger Splash for Luca.
Yeah.
Which, Bigger Splash is also a remake of the Jacques Deray film La Piscine. So, here's when we get into the controversy around Suspiria 2018. In the run-up to the movie being released, David Kojanich did a lot of interviews. People were very fascinated that, oh my god, they're remaking Suspiria. What's it going to be like? What can we expect from these filmmakers? Because they've never done anything like this. Well, like, what in the fuck are you going to do with Suspiria? And so interviewing the screenwriter is a pretty good place to start because, as we know, Suspiria in 1977, not a lot of plot.
Yeah.
So, in multiple interviews with David Kojanich, they asked him what his interest and his appeal was in adapting and remaking Suspiria, to which every single time he replied that, well, I hate Suspiria, and I wanted to do it better.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Huh?
Oh, no. I feel like my brain just shut down. I can't believe that. That is outrageous.
We live in a world where a man who hates Suspiria was hired to remake Suspiria.
That's so offensive.
It's kind of like how when they made the sequel to The Exorcist, they hired the director of Zardoz, who famously hated The Exorcist.
I pitched in 2020 or 2021, I pitched a remake of Night of the Living Dead, which, by the way, was fake because no one has the rights to that. This person didn't have the rights to it, but they were like having this like cattle call of writers to pitch for it. But it turns out they didn't have the rights. Anyway, they said in this meeting, like, I hate Night of the Living Dead. I think it's dumb and blah, blah, blah. It's like, why are you trying to remake it? Like, make something that you like. Start there.
Yeah.
Like, so ridiculous.
Like, the ideal property to remake or reinvent is something that you genuinely have affection for, but you feel for one reason or another, like, wasn't completed.
Yeah, I mean, that's why something like My Bloody Valentine is great for a remake, because it's a good movie from the early 80s that is well-liked but not perfect and doesn't have passionate, rabid fans around it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of movie to remake, not Suspiria.
The Thing and The Fly and The Blob were also great examples of movies to remake. Meanwhile, like, Nightmare Alley is a pretty fucking good movie, Guillermo. You didn't need to give us another, like, polar, like, 1-to-1. Psycho didn't need a remake, Gus Van Sant. Like, so, you know, with Suspiria, as we pointed out, there's a lot of things that aren't in the 77 one. Because it's more of a mood thing. So the idea of taking this movie that's so much set in 1977, that's made and set in 77 Germany, and actually like connecting it with what was happening in 77 Germany with the Binder Meinhof and RAF, like riots and like, depending on who you ask, terrorist attacks. Not me. Like bringing that together with the Cold War, with the political turmoil in Germany at the time is really, really interesting.
I like it.
I love that aspect of the movie.
Me too.
I wish it had been integrated a little bit finer.
Yeah.
It just kind of feels like window dressing.
It does. It's like a part of the aesthetic. You have spray paint along the Berlin Wall. You have bombs going off in the background when people are doing indoor scenes. It's always raining here, even though it doesn't really rain that much in Berlin, to be honest. It's just a very gray, gritty version of Berlin in 1977, which is how I imagine Berlin actually was at the time. It's almost like he used Suspiria 1977 as a Trojan horse to do a completely different thing, because you have on paper, you have the shape of the original movie. So here, Dakota Johnson plays a girl named Susie Banyan, who's American, who's coming to Germany to study ballet at the Tanz Academy, which is full of witches. You have a girl named Pat who disappears. You have her best friend Susie and another girl named Olga. I mean, you have all of the things, but it's a completely different movie that almost beat for beat is doing something completely different, which is fine. And I like what this movie is doing. It's just that it does too much, is my feeling. I mean, you have Susie in this version is a Mennonite from Ohio. You get a lot of flashbacks to her family farm in Ohio where her mom is on her deathbed. You have the elderly professor, which is also played by Tilda Swinton, who's good, but like, why is she playing this old man? And he has lost his wife during the war, his Jewish wife who disappeared during the war and he never saw her again. That's played by Jessica Harper. So you have these like kind of tangents, some of which are beautiful, some of which are maybe unnecessary, but it just like overburdens the movie for me. The movie's 2.5 hours long. It could have been truly 45 minutes shorter and would be a better movie.
It's over an hour longer of the original film.
Yeah.
And you don't feel like emotionally or intellectually you've gained anything in that additional hour.
No.
There's like, it's not an hour scarier. It's not an hour more in depth than the previous film. I always think about, people talk about run times a lot of late, because with Christopher Nolan and Marvel movies and all these things, more often than not, a 2.5 hour runtime is kind of the norm.
Yeah.
Which, you know, fine.
Fine.
And epic long movies have been a thing for a very, very long time. Look at Lawrence of Arabia, look at The Crowd.
Sure.
However, like, one of my favorite movies of all time is a 45-minute long Mexican film by Buñuel called Simon of the Desert. And that movie crams more ideas concisely, thoughtfully, and with humor, with sex appeal, with like horror, and with surreal artistry into 45 minutes than David Lean fit into 3.5 hours of Dr. Zhivago, or Christopher Nolan fit into 2.5 hours of Inception.
Yeah.
Like, I think runtime is like not that important, but it's something that like you should be mindful of, that like, okay, if we're reaching over 120 minutes, why are we reaching this far?
Yeah, I don't mind.
How much of a story are we telling?
I love a long movie, but I think, you know, I'm getting really into my art school roots here. Bertolt Brecht said that the simplest way to say something is always the most powerful. And I live by that. And I feel like if you're making a movie, you have to be very considerate of all things, of course, especially if you're the director. And if there is a piece of your movie that you don't need, cut it. Like, every ounce of fat can be cut. And sometimes your movie is still going to be 3 hours long, and that's fine. You know, I'll always happily sit down for Fiddler on the Roof or whatever. but
and a lot of those movies like properly earn those. There's very few movies that are that long that don't earn that runtime. I mean, Ryan's Daughter doesn't, but like, I
would say that this is one of those movies that doesn't earn its runtime.
It's so also ironic that you bring up Brecht, because like this movie does so much to couch you in 77 Germany, both in the politics and the time, so much more than the Argento, and yet it kind of stops there at it being window dressing. When that kind of was being set up into the beginning of the film for me, and like they're actually speaking German in a lot of the movie, which like, oh hey, we're not all dubbed into English. Lovely.
Yeah.
I really, really wish, and it feels like such a missed opportunity, that this movie had leaned more into actually what was being done in 77 Germany by the Das neue Kino German filmmakers at the time, by Volker Schlondorf and Ulrich Oettinger and Rainer von Fassbinder, who all of them were making these snappy, weird, expressive, small movies inspired by Brecht. Volker Schlondorf adapted Brecht's Ball with starring Fassbinder in 77. And it is a beautiful, scrappy, angry little 16mm film. And it's super grainy, and it's very handheld, and it feels like those Warhol movies, but it also kind of feels like what the Safdie brothers do now. It feels very agitated, and I feel like that kind of style being brought to a modern take on Suspiria would have been the better route. This movie, while trying to not ape Suspiria's color palette and
Yeah.
cinematography, I feel like pulls back too far.
I agree.
We end up with our kind of pale beiges and like locked down palette, but then we also have a very slow pace and a very slow camera.
Totally. I mean, the word indulgent comes to mind once again. This is the director of Call Me by Your Name, which is a movie that I loved very much, but that's a movie where rich people are just laying around feeling feelings and eating beautiful food. And that's the sort of perspective that he brings this movie as well. So it's a horror movie, but the pace is like languid and ponderous and meandering, which can be good. But here, I think it doesn't match the tone or needs, I guess, of the movie. I don't really know what to say. I did notice at one point that there's a Nina Hagen record playing in the background, so I appreciated that. There's some really beautiful segments. One of the ones that you were kind of, I think, hinting at is there's a segment in which the girl, I don't remember if it's Pat or Susie or Olga or which girl it is, but she is being punished. She's in one dance studio and Susie is in the other. And as Susie does a dance, those dances are brought to the other girl, except that they're breaking her bones and twisting her body. And it goes on and on and on. She's being smashed against the mirrors. It's very upsetting, very hard to watch, very cool scene in this movie. I assume that that's one of the ones that you were talking about.
Oh, absolutely. It's the scene that I think of constantly when I think of this movie. If I think of this movie, I think of that scene. And the expression on the girl's face as she's like all but dead, but still alive. And there's just like saliva drooling out of her mouth. It's one of the few scenes of body horror that like you watch and you're like, somewhere in the world, David Cronenberg is wishing he made this scene.
Yeah. This got compared to David Cronenberg by some critics, by the way. Also, the other thing that this movie has going for it, the original movie has almost no dancing in it. And this was choreographed by the choreographer Damien Gillet. And it's beautiful. I mean, I'm somebody who really loves to watch dance. And there are really long dance scenes in this that are just beautiful to look at, and especially the famous one where they're wearing like the red braided outfits, the fun kind of main one that they've been rehearsing the whole movie. It's killer. It looks so beautiful, and it is just stunning.
Honestly, the biggest quality to this movie is that it does actually have dancing as compared to
I think the dance is really special in this.
And they do all of the best sequences of the movie involve the dance.
And they connect something that the 70s movie doesn't have that's really interesting, which is that the idea that the dance is how these witches cast spells. The dances that they're choreographing are elaborate rituals that have like a magical purpose, which is a really interesting thing because in the 70s movie, they're like, why is this a dance academy and a witch's coven? Like, why not one or the other? And so they found a really interesting way to tie that to get to a unity of purpose. That's really smart and cool. I mean, like I was saying, there's so many good ideas in this movie and so many good ways of updating the text. But they don't really add up. No, and they try to take the rest of the Mother trilogy and put it all into this movie. So you do have the idea of three mothers. You get that in this movie, which you don't in the 77 film. But I don't know if it makes it any better, really. Because it's still like has the beats of a mystery without being a mystery, but in a less successful way. You know what I mean? Like it just is like, I don't know. And the Mennonite stuff is really weird and I'm not sure if it really works. And I'm just
as someone from that part of the Midwest where there are a lot of Mennonite and Amish communities, I was like, oh, hey, like that's neat to see. But then it also really just felt like, okay, this is a movie from a very European perspective being like, oh, Ohio, Amish, farm, got it. And I was just kind of like, really?
Yeah.
Susie couldn't have just been going to a mall back in Ohio? Like, she had to be Mennonite? Okay.
I also happen to love the Holocaust backstory for the old professor. And, you know, he sees the ghost of his wife and they go for a walk and And then, at the end of the movie, a witch kind of kindly tells him what actually happened to his wife. And it just plays out like sort of a beautiful ghost story. I actually loved it on its own, but it feels like it doesn't fit into this movie. I would love to see.
It does not fit in this movie.
It should be its own movie because it would be beautiful, like astoundingly beautiful. But in this, it just feels like one note too many, or several notes too many. And again, why is Tilda Swinton playing him? She just doesn't have to. Like it's just so indulgent.
It's so indulgent. It's one of those casting choices that like really kind of rubs me the wrong way.
Me too.
When they do stuff like that, it feels weird. It feels like not intentionally transphobic, but just kind of like, how can we make this more unsettling for the audience in a like subtle, subversive way? We'll have a woman playing a man. That way, gender is in question in a way that's fucks with your subconscious because it's a woman, but it's a man, but it's a man, but it's a woman. And you're going to read it as a man, but in the back of your head, it's Tilda Swinton.
Right.
And it's like, fuck off. This
is a really common thing to do in theater, but in theater, it's like you have more limited resources. So it's like you're saving on cast. And often, they do this in Angels in America in the play, and then they keep it for the HBO miniseries. But it kind of works because whenever an actor is double cast in multiple roles, the different characters speak to one another in some way thematically. And that's not the case here, at least as near as I can tell. It just feels like,
no,
wouldn't it be fun?
Tilda Swintons are just like, Tilda's a great actress. She can do anything.
Yeah. We know she's a great actress. That's why she's in the movie. We don't need a proof of concept that Tilda Swinton.
That's why our butts are in seats.
yeah.
It's there's just so many.
What if that professor had been Udo Kier or somebody like that? I mean,
I know.
Just think of that. Like, why not pick somebody who's like a 70s art house stalwart and put them in the movie like they did Jessica Harper,
It makes no sense not to put Udo Kier in this movie.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
It does not need to be Tilda. It could have been Udo. But also, like you were saying, the whole, like, Holocaust ghost story that's, like, also primarily in the third act of this film.
Yeah.
It is just, like, kind of hinted at, and then they take a huge break from the rest of the movie to be like, so here's this.
Yeah.
I honestly just wish I agree, they just made it a second movie. But also, like, you could have made that as a sequel to Suspiria. You could have just, like, made a sequel to this and been like, here's a little ghost story.
Right.
It's not even connected at all. Fuck you. We tricked you into seeing it in the same way that this movie has nothing to do with Suspiria other than it's about a dance academy. But we called it Suspiria and we paid Argento for the remake rights. And you went to go see it because it was called Suspiria.
And I think all of those tangent stories are actually really beautiful, but the movie as a whole is overburdened by them. Like we said a million times, all of these little tangents could be their own movies and they'd be great, but it just really weighs the movie down here for me.
And like, I feel like if you cut all those tangents out and then you re-threaded the updates to the original text a little finer together, like the Baader-Meinhof political landscape of the film with a very intentionally Brechtian filmmaking lens with, what we know to be the twist ending of the movie, which I think is conceptually great. I think it's an amazing way to wrap the story up. I think it's like 10 out of 10. That's how you modernize the ending of Suspiria. Perfect. Take that and the, contemporary use of dance. Love all of that. I love the humorous bits for the cops. I think that stuff's really good. I feel like if that had all been weaved together a little bit finer, and all of the tangential stuff about Mennonites and the Holocaust had just kind of
fallen to the wayside,
pushed to the back, and they'd chosen just one role for Tilda Swinton and not been so up their own ass about it, I feel like this movie could have been fucking amazing, and it could have been the movie that people talk about when they talk about this movie, because a lot of people love this movie. And I I don't see
It's because of it's only that
I don't
one thing.
see the same
the
movie
good
they're
movie is
seeing.
in there. That's the thing that's so frustrating about it. Like, I'm an OA person, I'm a believer, but in this case, I sort of wish you could give this movie to like a brutal Hollywood editor and keep Luca out of the room and see what they would do. Say like, this movie has to be under 2 hours. Go do it. Let's see what you come up with. Then I think honestly, you've got one of the best horror movies of this century so far.
I wish Steven Soderbergh was still retired and doing his weird
that would be
on his
amazing.
website. I would love to call up Soderbergh and have him make the Soderbergh edit of Suspiria.
Amazing.
That would be great. That man knows how to make an 80-minute long horror movie.
And I hate to be a person who's like, it's too long, because I usually don't feel that way. And I think that's something that like stupid, uncultured people say, frankly, and I don't want to be one of them. But in this case, I feel like the movie's just overburdened by all these extra things, and it just truly doesn't earn that runtime for me. That's how I feel.
Because I feel it's so interesting because, again, they're doing so many active choices to stray away from the Argento film in terms of the filmmaking style, the narrative, the color palette, that slowing it down is the opposite. I feel like slowing it down is closer to the rhythm of the 77 film, because Argento's pacing isn't like breakneck. It's actually really languid for that kind of movie, especially compared to his Giallo films beforehand. So slowing it down even further makes no fucking sense. I feel personally, if you really wanted to get into 77's Germany, if you really wanted to get into that era of music, that era of dance, and that the fucking politics, they should have shot this movie like Battle of Algiers, man.
Yeah.
Should have been edited like Z.
Absolutely.
It should have been cut and shot like a political thriller.
Absolutely.
And then moving to the dance, this should be like 89 minutes long. It should feel coked out as shit.
Right.
It should, like, I wish the Safdie brothers had been given this movie.
That would have been great. I mean,
can you imagine what they would have done with Suspiria?
Yeah, it's almost insulting to the
even
original.
If they
like
turned it in at 2.5 hours, it would be a packed 2.5 hours.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it just if they'd called it anything else, I'd like it a lot more.
I would still think it's too long.
Agreed. But had they had, even at the script stage, done some edits, or especially in the fucking editing room, really trimmed this beast down, I think it could have been one of the best horror movies the past few years.
Agreed.
Or the past few decades. It really, really, really had the potential. In ways that surprised me, because I didn't think that you could do a lot of those things with Suspiria and have it work as well as it does.
Yeah.
But it could work even better.
I know. I mean, that's the thing that's so frustrating, because I 3 stars like this movie, but there's a 5-star movie in here, and I can't often say that about 3-star movies. 3-star movies are usually like mediocre movies. This isn't mediocre. This is good. But it could be great, and it isn't. And it's because it gets in its own way and is like too indulgent and too sort of pretentious and up its own ass. Yeah, that's my feeling.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the problems of this movie do stem from contemporary filmmaking, European and art house filmmaking practices.
Yeah.
That are to strip it down, desat the palette, lock the camera down, or have it handheld for your action or chaotic scenes, and really slow it down, give the audience time to breathe and think, and now it's an art film.
I don't know about you, Drusilla, but I am so sick of desaturated movies. Like, give me some fucking colors. I don't want to see any more gray. This is not the 2010s. Like, let's have some colors in this bitch.
I'm fucking over it. I mean, that's why I loved Worst Person in the World so much. It felt like it took all of those filmmaking tropes of the past 15 years and threw them in the trash.
Where they belong. No, not really. I mean, there's lots of great movies that I love in that style, but it's like new, something new. It's a new decade. It's like, give us something new, something else, as Violet Chachki would say.
We're all so tired. We're all so upset. Please. And honestly, my favorite thing about Suspiria 2018, which is the first thing we, as an audience, got of the movie, is the brilliant title design by Dan Perry. Gorge. absolutely like right in line with Bauhaus type and graphic design. It kicks so much ass. It is all over the place. It is wild. It is unhinged. And it tells you everything you need to know about this version of Suspiria. And the movie does not live up to it.
Well, let's play Have They Seen It on this one, the game, again, where we speculate wildly about whether notable figures have seen this. I'll go first. This movie has a performance by Mia Goth, and Mia Goth recently starred in the movie X, in which she is incredible. And also incredible in the movie X is Brittany Snow. So I want to know if Hairspray's Brittany Snow has seen Suspiria 2018.
I mean, I'm gonna say yeah. This movie was, kind of a big deal when it debuted. I don't know what she thinks of it.
I think Brittany Snow would think that this is pretentious and dull.
Potentially.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Some of my friends who their favorite movies are stuff like X that are like really sleazy and trashy and like wild horror movies love this movie.
Yeah, it's sort of bewildering. Like some people who are like, horror movies should be fun again. Ugh. Like some of those people love this movie. And it's like, what are you talking about?
Suspiria 2018 is very interesting as an art house horror movie because it feels like art house people don't really like this movie.
Yeah.
But horror people really like this movie.
It's a
which
litmus
feels
test.
backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's so odd.
Yeah. All right. Who do you got?
Yeah. So, as we know, Dakota Johnson is the lead of this movie, and she is truly a horror lineage. She's a nepotism baby, but her mother, Melanie Griffith, did some amazing stuff with Brian De Palma in the 80s, specifically Body Double. And her mother, Tippi Hedren, is a scream queen in her own right, from Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. So, do you think Tippi saw Suspiria 2018?
Absolutely. I mean, I think she's a great grandma. I think that, she's supportive. Could we ever do Roar on this podcast? I don't think it fits in our category, but it would be fun to talk about. Tippi Hedren, I think she saw this. I think she is proud of her granddaughter. I don't know if she likes the movie. I don't think that she would find it pretentious. I think that she would just be like, that movie is boring and weird.
I think she would be like, that movie was boring and then it was too gross.
And it was long. She was like, my back hurt at the end of it. You know what I mean? Like that sort of thing. I like to imagine that after the LA premiere of Suspiria, Dakota and Melanie and Tippi all got together and Dakota was like, what did you think of it? And they all gushed over it and had a great time. And then Dakota went to the after party on her own because she is young and that is what she is wont to do. And then Tippi Hedren and Melanie Griffith took their limo back to their respective houses. And in the limo ride, they probably were just like dishing on the movie and how it wasn't as suspenseful as Hitchcock and De Palma. Yeah.
It didn't live up to the ones that they made.
100%. One tiny amendment, though. I hope that Tippi and Melanie are actually taking the long ride out to Tippi's wild animal sanctuary, wherever that is. Shambhala, I think it's called. And maybe Dakota joined them a couple of days later when her hangover. Or I just like to think that the family retreats there, like into a Malibu house, but it's like their rural wild animal tigers sanctuary.
That family has no chill. They're either starring in horror movies or like nearly being mauled to death. That's their
listeners.
baseline.
If you have not heard of the movie Roar, ROAR, go onto YouTube right after this and watch the trailer for it, and then you'll know what we're talking about. It's a really interesting part of movie history that we can't really talk about because it's not horror or art house.
Whoops.
Yeah. I think that's it for our first double feature. Maybe we'll do this at 50 episodes again. I don't know. Drusilla, where can people find you?
You can find me over at sisterhydedesign.com, where all my art lives and resides. And then you can follow me on Instagram at HydeSister, HYDESISTER. And I'm also over on Letterboxd, so go see what I'm seeing. What about you, Josh?
I'm at Joshua Conkle on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. And you can follow the show on all the socials, Bloodhaus Pod, and you can email us at bloodhausepod@gmail.com. Now, next week we have a very special guest, and what are we watching, Drusilla?
We have an outrageously special guest, and I'm so excited. He has brought us Takashi Miike's The Happiness of the Katakuri.
Ooh, first time watch for me. And this is our first repeat director. Whoever thought it would be Takashi Miike, but that's the truth.
Whoever thought it would be the guy who directed over 100 movies.